Welcome to the channel, welcome to today's run through of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer updates, keeping you right up to date with everything. I'm Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let's jump straight into it. So first of all, get involved in the comments, let me know your thoughts and feelings on the match yesterday. I'm going to be completely truthful. I was driving yesterday, been away for the weekend. It's my daughter's 21st, so we've been away. So I didn't watch the game. I listened to it on the radio. I've spoken to a few of the family, watched all the reactions to it, and I'm going to be completely honest with you here, and this is probably going to be a bit controversial going off of the narrative around at the moment. I didn't think it was as bad as what it's being made out to be. The way it was being made out by the reactions I've watched, by the media and everything like that as well, I didn't think it was that bad, being completely truthful. Like I was expecting there to be a horrific performance and, you know, almost like a 4-0 battering that we avoided, the way everyone's going off about it. So I watched the full 90 minutes back this morning. Didn't think it was as bad as anywhere near as bad as what's being made out. And maybe that's because it's in hindsight. I already know the result. I know I've seen the goals and watched all the highlights and everything, but I don't like giving an opinion on a game that I haven't watched fully. And when I've watched it back, I didn't think it was anywhere near as bad as it's being made out to be. I think there's been a massive overreaction to what was a concerning performance. There are concerns, of course there are. It wasn't like the Arsenal performance where actually I thought we played really well, even though we didn't get the result. I didn't think it was anywhere near as bad as what it's being made out to be. But I always like to watch the games, and maybe it's hindsight. Maybe it's because I'm less emotional as well, because I already know the result. And, you know, it's weird watching a game back when you already know a little bit of what's happening, because I listen to it on the radio, so I listen to all the commentary. It's just sometimes the commentary doesn't paint the full picture as well, and I like to watch it with my eyes. But, you know, I felt for the first 20 minutes we looked good. Should have and probably could have been at least 1, maybe 2-0 up. Then we missed the penalty as well. We'll talk about Bruno more in a second. Ended the first half. You know, we could have easily been 2-3-0 up in that first half as well. Second half, I felt we started okay again, scored the goal, but then reverted back to type. And it was scoring that goal that seemed to be the catalyst of a few events. You know, I thought Yoro was good. I thought De Ligt was good. Cunha first half, unlucky not to score. That second one, I do think he should have buried. And Bumo faded, I felt, in the second half. Mount was good. Gave us some energy and was decent. I thought Dorgu, a little bit hit and miss at times, but still good. Ahmad, decision-making wasn't quite there. Shaw was okay. Bayenda's still a heart attack waiting to happen, isn't he, from corners. Biggest criticism I've got is Casemiro. I thought Casemiro was more culpable or more to blame than Bruno. Bruno's getting it in the neck, and again, I'll speak about Bruno more in a second. That's like almost an entire topic on itself. But Casemiro, for me, diving to get a yellow card and then diving into tackles on the halfway line and just leaving himself in no man's land. You know, because he doesn't have the legs or the athleticism to play Premier League games in midfield, diving into tackles, getting bypassed. Like, for me, Casemiro deserves way more criticism. Well, maybe not actually. Casemiro deserves some criticism after his performance as well, because I thought he was terrible. And then the other player that's getting it in the neck is Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes, you cannot move at the moment for criticism about Bruno Fernandes. And I think Bruno Fernandes is becoming this year's scapegoat, where everyone's going to blame Bruno Fernandes for everything. So I am wary of that, but I felt his head wasn't right. I've got to be honest, I don't think his head was right. Even before the penalty miss, I don't think he was in the right headspace for whatever reason. There are links with him potentially going to Saudi, which we'll go through in a second, and I've not covered yet because I've been away for a few days. Whether it's something to do with that, I don't know. But going off of his comments from the penalty miss as well, you can see, like, imagine your club captain coming out after missing a penalty and saying, as every penalty taker, you have your routines, you have your own things that you do. It upset me because the referee didn't apologise, and that's what triggered me in the moment, but that's not the excuse to missing the penalty. So imagine your club captain coming out saying, because the referee bumped into him and didn't apologise, you then went on a rant about it and like lost your head for 2 minutes, do you know what I mean, or whatever it was when we were taking the penalty and the ref was doing it, and then ballooning it over the bar. And that's your club captain. And if your club captain is erratic like that, because that's one way I would describe Bruno is erratic, I do think it has an impact on the rest of the team and the squad. So, but I thought his head had gone before that situation anyway, where if you're getting bent out of shape because the referee accidentally bumped into you on a football pitch and you're the club captain of Manchester United, I think you need to have a word with yourself, or at least like something needs to be said regarding that, because I thought that was a terrible excuse from Bruno, and it looked like his head had gone before that situation anyway. And I do agree that he's culpable for the goal as well. Dalot makes the mistake giving the ball away, but then also when Bruno's looking directly at the player and he's ahead of him as well and can see the run that he's about to make, and then just stands still and lets him run past him as well. I thought that was inexcusable. But again, I don't necessarily think it's all on Bruno. I think that balance in midfield is not right. Casemiro and Bruno cannot play Premier League football games, I don't think, because Casemiro does not have the legs to cover for Bruno, and Bruno does not have the positional or the discipline to stay in midfield. He's drifting all over the place. He's still trying to get the ball off the right back and stuff, which I felt had an impact in the second half when we'd scored. And then we lost a lot of our shape. And I think Bruno was trying to amend his performance or trying to do too much almost, and it led to the shape not being quite right in bits as well. But again, I don't think it was anywhere near as bad as what's being made out. But again, whether that's because I didn't watch it live and I didn't watch it in full, and I'd watched the game back. So you let me know in the comments below what you think about the game and the match. And yeah, because you're like, if you've watched it live or if you were there, let us know in the comments what you felt about the performance. But I think a lot of it's being over exaggerated. So it's a point away from home. It's the disappointment for me is the performance, because we played so well against Arsenal, and then we started the game so well. You were kind of thinking, yes, this is it. We've got the momentum now. This is how we're going to play. And then the end of the second half went a little bit kind of basketball-y-ish. I think Fulham grew into the game at the end of the second half. Like I said, their first home game of the season, so in front of their crowd, I think they were up for it as well. So, and then second half, I thought we started okay, scored, and then reverted back to type when we scored. And that's a concern. That is a concern that we stopped doing what we were doing in the first half or the start of the second half, and reverted back to let's sit deep and giving the ball away all the time, lacked a lot of composure. But I do think a lot of that comes from your captain, who himself is erratic, and it creates an erratic performance. And then on Amrim for not making any substitutions, like I thought Amrim's subs were questionable at best, because you kept players on the pitch that weren't performing very well and took players off that actually I felt were having a good game. Like Mason Mount was having a good game, I felt, was playing better than Bruno anyway at that time, but he takes him off for Ugarte. Whether that's a fitness thing, though, you don't know. But then why did Kobbie Mainoo not get any minutes? Joshua Zirkzee, I felt, could have come on second half maybe for Bryan Mbeumo, who was fading as well, but he won't take Mbeumo off. Like, you can't have a manager that has favourites. That's the concern I have from that, because if you're not making substitutions based on the performances on the pitch, then that's a bit of a red flag for me. But we'll wait and see. It's still early in the season. It's a bit annoying to still not have a win under our belt, though. But like I said, I don't think it was as bad as what people are making it out to be as well. We're 2 games in. Yes, it's disappointing that we've only got 1 point, but there's still a lot of games to come, and I think we will grow and hopefully grow once we start scoring goals, because if we buried some of our chances in that first half, the game's out of sight within 20 minutes or half an hour anyway, and then you don't have to worry about the rest. But because we're not quite sharp in front of goal yet, I do think it is a concern. But yeah, give us your thoughts and feelings on the match in the comments below. Now we'll go through the transfer news, because obviously sticking with the midfield, we do know that the midfield is a massive issue. And the biggest kind of question at the moment is what's going on with Kobbie Mainoo. Not 1 single minute yet so far this season. And Ruben Amrim, after the game, said regarding Kobbie Mainoo that he's fighting for his position with Bruno Fernandes. So interestingly, according to Ruben Amrim, so if Bruno plays, and he's going to play 90 minutes pretty much every week, because he's never going to sub him, as we've seen yesterday, because if you're having a stinker like Bruno was and you still manage to stay on the pitch, then where does that leave Kobbie Mainoo? Because if you're not prepared to take, if you basically saying, well, I'm not going to play Bruno and Mainoo together, it's Bruno or Mainoo, and Bruno's never going to miss a minute of any game because you're not going to sub him even when he's not playing well, massive question marks regarding Kobbie Mainoo. Interestingly, Alex Crook has said that Kobbie Mainoo would consider leaving Manchester United in the final week of the transfer window if the club receive a suitable offer. Alex Crook's been quite decent recently, actually, but or I would say take with a pinch of salt, because normally he's a very normally hit and miss kind of reporter, and I do feel that's a little bit of bandwagon jumping because Kobbie Mainoo and Bruno are under the microscope at the moment. Then I do think that's a little bit clickbaity almost. But Graham Bailey said a similar thing, that Kobbie Mainoo is ready to leave Manchester United on loan this month and a host of clubs are looking to land him. It is believed United would be open to a permanent deal. Whilst Mainoo would consider a loan, he still believes he could have a future at Old Trafford. So Graham Bailey, again, who though can be a little bit hit and miss, suggesting that United might consider sending Kobbie Mainoo out on loan this month, or if we get an offer, sell him permanently. Like, I think it would be absolutely insane of Manchester United decision makers to sell Kobbie Mainoo and not look to do anything with Casemiro. Like, how can you keep Casemiro at the club when he's in the last year of his contract? We've been trying to sell him for 2 or 3 years and then sell Kobbie Mainoo. And how can you do the same with Bruno Fernandes as well at their age? Do you know what I mean? Like, I just think that would be absolutely insane of the club to do. Not that Kobbie Mainoo doesn't have to prove himself, because he does. I felt last season he was a little bit up and down as well, but there's no way. Like, he's still young, he's still got plenty of time ahead of him. I've seen enough of Kobbie Mainoo to know that there is a player in Kobbie Mainoo, and I think that's widely, you look at all the kind of commentators, and he's played in a Euro final already at his age, and that season I thought he was outstanding. Every youngster has what I call a hit and miss season, where they have like a season where they're not quite at it while they're learning. That happens with all young players, even Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the best players I've ever seen. With my own eyeballs, had stages when he was a young player when he wasn't very consistent neither as well, believe it or not. So I don't think we should be selling Kobbie Mainoo, not at all, especially when you've got problems in midfield anyway. And like, all the other midfielders should be sold before Mainoo, in my opinion. Like, Casemiro definitely should be sold before him. Ugarte should definitely be sold, and I think Bruno should be sold before Kobbie Mainoo as well. So it'd be insane to me to get to do anything like that with Kobbie. But give us your thoughts and feelings on that in the comments below. Now, to stick with the midfield, so one player that we could turn to is Carlos Baleba. He's obviously the midfielder that we do want to bring in. Fabrizio Romano said that Manchester United for 2026 will maintain the name of Carlos Baleba very high on their shortlist. Amram's in love, the management is in love, and the recruitment team is in love. Very good connection with the player, very good connection with his agents, because when Manchester United had talks with his agents in recent weeks, it was very positive over contract, personal terms, and intention to join even without European football. So Fabrizio Romano has basically been saying that, look out for Carlos Baleba maybe for next year. Could we make a cheeky bid towards the end of the transfer window? Although it's going to be very, very difficult. That's going to cost an absolute wedge of money. But then also Brighton have already said that he's not for sale. But interestingly, he did come off at half-time in Brighton's game yesterday. So could there be something in that? Who knows? But I don't think. I still feel it's a little bit too late to go for Carlos Baleba, but we do need to bring in a midfielder. Now, sticking with the midfield though, El Attiyad, urged by Karim Benzema, are considering Casemiro as a midfield target, and that's come from a decent Saudi journalist or someone connected to the Saudi Pro League, suggesting that Casemiro is potentially a target for the Saudi Pro League. But as we know, Casemiro doesn't want to go anywhere. He wants to see out the rest of his contract, stay at United. He's already done interviews saying his family is settled and all this stuff as well. I don't think Casemiro is going to go anywhere. I think the only way you could sell Casemiro now is by bringing in, let's say you buy Carlos Baleba, for example, and then you force Casemiro out that way by saying, well, Baleba's going to play now, so your minutes are going to be limited. It's a World Cup year. I think Casemiro maybe then would look to leave and go to the Saudi Pro League. But at the moment, I don't see it. I don't see how yeah, I can't see it happening personally, but I hope it does. I hope that situation does play out. Carlos Blaber in, and then Casemiro goes. Definitely before we look to sell Kobbie Mainoo. That would be insane to me. And then there's been more reports going around of potentially Saudi Pro League being interested in Bruno. So earlier this summer, Fernandes was firm with El Hilal that he wanted to stay at Manchester United for at least another year. That this was also reiterated to Al Nassr a few weeks ago in an informal chat. If anything develops, Fernandes would have to change his position on going to Saudi this season rather than considering it next summer. So Ben Jacobs has said that. So effectively, what the stories were over the weekend was that Al Nassr would potentially coming back in for £100 million offer for Bruno Fernandes. Whether that had anything to do with his performance yesterday, who knows? But Ben Jacobs, who is actually quite decent when it comes specifically to the Saudi Pro League transfers as well, has basically said that look, he's not wanting to go to Saudi this summer, but would maybe consider it next summer. But again, has his head been turned by more offers from the Saudi Pro League, more generational wealth, and the amount of money that's being potentially offered by them teams? Is that an excuse for the performance yesterday? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments below, as I'm sure you will. Now, with loads of talk now, I'm going to go through the Senne Lammens news. Some of this is going to be a little bit old for you. You might have already seen it, but I just want to do it in a bit of an order because it helps me then for future videos if I know I've brought you some of the stuff that I've missed when I've had a couple of days off. So firstly, Fabrizio Romano has said that Lammens not in the starting 11 for Royal Antwerp today because he's probably going to Manchester United. A deal is at the final stages and is advancing fast. Manchester United and Royal Antwerp starting at 17 million euros plus 3 million. They're around 20 million euros, and Royal Antwerp want to reach 25 million euros. Senne Lammens to Manchester United could be a here we go in the final week. So for those who don't know, we've made a move for Senne Lammens. It looks like, by all accounts, we are just negotiating maybe those final bits of either add-ons, the structure of the payments as well. Senne Lammens did not play over the weekend for Royal Antwerp as well because of this potential move, because they want to get the money in for him as well. And I rate this. I rate this move as well, getting a goalkeeper in. It's been interesting because the goalkeeper situation has been really weird this summer, hasn't it? Because we knew we wanted one, and then we're being told that Onana's going to stay and he's the number one, and then we were told, that we need to sell a goalkeeper to bring a goalkeeper in. Now we're bringing a goalkeeper in anyway. Weird situation, the goalkeeper, but it looks like United have settled on going for Senne Lammens to bring him in, and it's going to be around 20 to 25 million euros, according to Fabrizio Romano, who didn't play yesterday as well. So this is a deal that I think is going to get done. Might even get a here we go at any particular point in time because it's that advanced, this deal as well, and I'm excited by it. He does look like a really, really good goalkeeper. I'm still reserving a little bit of judgment because I fell into the hype around Onana. The whole transformative, he's going to be a transformative goalkeeper, and that's what everyone was saying. That was the narrative going around as well, and he's transformed jack shit for us, in my opinion. But Senne Lammens actually does look like a really, really good shot stopper, and the research and everything I've done, he does look like a really good, young, promising goalkeeper as well. So that's the way they've gone down, and it looks like we're going to get this deal over the line. Now, Laurie Whitwell was saying a new goalkeeper had not been on the agenda at Old Trafford unless Andre Onana was sold, but that position has changed in light of the opening weekend defeat by Arsenal. Antwerp have been looking for a fee of around 20 million euros for Lammens, according to reports. And negotiations are progressing between the clubs. That came from Laurie Whitwell, and the Athletic suggested that it had not been on the agenda. That's why we've had all these mixed stories around get goalkeeper, no goalkeeper, Onana stay in, and all this stuff. So maybe the performance by Bayenda against Arsenal did prompt them to make a decision. And I think that's the right decision as well because, Bayenda is a heart attack waiting to happen, isn't he, for crosses and corners, as I saw from the Fulham game yesterday as well. Even though I knew the result and stuff, when I actually watched the game, it was still like my heart was in my mouth thinking, oh my God, what is he actually doing sometimes? But yeah, so it looks like we're going to get Lammens in. Sam C said that Senne Lammens excited and intrigued about a possibility of moving to Manchester United, talks advancing. Sky, a £17 million deal for Man United to sign Senne Lammens is close, and Manchester United's pursuit of Senne Lammens is not expected to impact the immediate future of Andre Onana, who is still expected to stay at Old Trafford as the club's number one goalkeeper. Altay Bayenda is also likely to remain even if Lammens arrives, at least until January. That is partly down to the fact Andre Onana will miss the festive period due to his participation with Cameroon in the African Cup of Nations. That's interesting from Ben Jacobs, suggesting that maybe getting Lammens in, maybe we don't sell a goalkeeper because we've got the AFCON coming up, and then you would have Bayinda or Onana, or not Onana, Bayinda and Lammens, first and second choice. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, because obviously Onana was on the bench yesterday as well, although I do think he's going to play in the Carabao Cup this week and then potentially retain his spot as the number one. But Senne Lammens hopefully will be in by then and give Onana a run for his money, because it does look like a really good shot stopper. Ben Jacobs said that Man United admire Senne Lammens for his boldness in the 6-yard box, decisive line exits, confident punching, fearless catching, and vocal commanding presence. So if you want to know a little bit of an insight around the player, I think Ben Jacobs has summarised it quite well there as well. And he's up in the top 1%, I think, for shots saved and penalty saved and all this stuff as well. Very, very good young goalkeeper, but he's playing in the Belgian league, so we need to see how he gets on and give him time as well. But no, this is one that I'm actually excited about as well. Bringing in a younger goalkeeper, somebody potentially that can give Onana a run for his money, safe pair of hands, good on some of the areas that we're weak at. I mean, catching, vocal, punching, good in the 6-yard box, good shot stopper. So I do think there's a lot of positives in this deal. So hopefully we can get this over the line. Simon Stone said that Man United has held talks with Royal Antwerp regarding goalkeeper Senne Lammens. However, with Tom Heaton signing a 1-year contract this summer, it's unlikely United will add another goalkeeper unless one departs. So again, we'll need to see what happens if we do bring in, or when it looks like now we bring in Senne Lammens, what does actually happen? Is Onana being forced out? That's why he's not in the squad. Will Bayinda then put in a transfer request or want to leave because his game time would be limited as well in a World Cup year? So yeah, a lot of moving parts potentially could happen with this between now and the end of the window. The Athletic was saying that if Senne Lammens joins, it could prompt question about Bayinda's future, while Onana is expected to remain at Manchester United. So we'll need to see how all that plays out. But going off the reports, it looks like Senne Lammens is going to come. We're just working out the final details of the structure and the add-ons and the actual final price as well, and then that looks like it's gonna go through. And then we'll need to wait and see whether getting the goalkeeper in does then force Onana out the door, force Bayinda out the door, or as some of the reports are saying, are we planning to have 4 goalkeepers effectively because Onana's going to the AFCON in January? We still want 3 goalkeepers for that position, and then we'll address the exits for the goalkeeper next summer. Who knows? But give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. Now, sticking with the exits, firstly on Rasmus Højlund. So Napoli are very close to getting a deal done for Rasmus Højlund. So Napoli are now advancing in talks to sign Rasmus Højlund. Positive talks today with Højlund and his camp about contract terms and project for long term. Man United are informed about talks and ready to get deal done if Højlund and Napoli agree personal terms. Obviously, he wasn't anywhere near, didn't even travel with the matchday squad, so that's a sign that obviously things are progressing with Rasmus Højlund's exit. Matteo, good source, saying that Napoli are very close to signing Rasmus Højlund. The negotiations between the parties are advanced for a loan with option to buy that can become mandatory under certain conditions. So that's interesting, the deal conditions, because Rasmus wants to go somewhere where it's more of a permanent exit. He doesn't want to be part of next season's bomb squad. He wants to go somewhere where he's got the safety and the guarantee that actually it's going to end up being a permanent move. I don't know whether Napoli are quite keen on doing that as well, but by all accounts, that's not a bad way to do it. Option to buy with a mandatory obligation under certain conditions, I think is a nice way around that deal. Suits both parties then as well. And then Di Marzio has come out today saying an important day for Napoli, who want to get closer and closing to the deal for Hojlund. Manchester United striker, the former Atalanta striker, is considered the number 1 target of Napoli to replace the injured Romelu Lukaku. This is why the Napoli is at work to arrive in the next few hours and a conclusion in the negotiations. So it does look like Di Marzio is saying that, he's their top target, and it looks like this deal is going to get concluded anytime soon. And then we've also had Ben Jacobs saying that Napoli are now in advanced talks with Manchester United over Rasmus Højlund. So this deal looks like it's gonna get done. Could already be done by the time you're watching this video as well, because there were a few reports saying that Monday's a big day in terms of negotiations. So we'll see how that plays out. But it looks like, going off the recent reports, it's going to be Senne Lammens in, Rasmus Højlund out, and then we'll have to see what else we can do for the rest of the transfer window as well, with the limited time that we've got left. Now, sticking with exits, Fabrizio Romano on Garnacho said that Chelsea expect 100% the Alejandro Garnacho deal to happen. I fully think we'll have a here we go this week. There were some rumours to include Tarek George as part of the conversation between Manchester United and Chelsea. The option was already stopped a few weeks ago, so at the moment, Tarek George is not part of any conversations as of now. So I'm thinking, could we still try and do like a deal for Santos and Garnacho? But that one's going to go through. They're just leaving it to lastminute.com so they can try and get a cheap deal for him. That's always been the plan, I think, for Garnacho and Chelsea, but it is what it is. We'll have to wait and see how all that plays out. And then on Antony, Manchester United has allowed Fenerbahce to enter the race. The Turkish club go all in to sign the 25-year-old. In the last few hours, it's claimed Fenerbahce are willing to meet Manchester United's €45 million asking price. Fenerbahce also willing to offer a significant salary to Antony. Negotiations likely with the Brazil international are said to be on hold because he's waiting for other clubs who are all looking at a loan move. Now, that came from ESPN Brazil, potentially saying that Fenerbahce could be an option for Antony, but he's waiting for other clubs. Real Betis. On Real Betis, Antony is hoping Real Betis make progress in their bid to re-sign him over the next 24 hours. Betis are planning to put forward a new proposal on Monday after their initial attempt on a loan deal earlier this summer was dismissed. That came from Simon Jones in the Mail, and Sully Talks has said that Real Betis are advancing in talks with Manchester United for Antony. Now, after being prepared with Antony pushing for move, personal terms are verbally agreed. Betis want to reach agreement before window ends. So, again, these are just so frustrating. It's been very, very frustrating, this transfer window, the exits. It's been one of the biggest frustrations, and I don't know, where the finger of blame lies, because United, I think, have done everything they can to force these players out. But the players have been stubborn. They only want to go to certain clubs. They've been refusing other offers. It's just really annoying, very annoying, because we could have moved these players on weeks ago because we've had offers from other teams, but they are literally holding out to the last minute, and I just think it shows their character and personality personally as well, because the two players that have sharply moved out the door and sacrificed, their salary and maybe a little bit have swallowed their pride as well as Rashford and Rasmus Højlund, who are Man United fans. Like, Rashford's taken a pay cut, forced his way through to Barcelona, got that move done, got the deal done early in the transfer window because he wants to play football and fight for a place in the national team. Plus, I think he also is a United fan, which has something to do with it as well, because he understands that obviously we need to move players on to bring players in. Rasmus Højlund's made a quick decision, I think, now that he knows he's out of the team, looking for his permanent exit as well. And then you've got the other ones that are just dragging their heels and have just been sat around twiddling their thumbs, playing Xbox for the last 3 months, not looking for moves, refusing deals, and waiting for the last minute to get offers, get their moves as well. Very, very frustrating the transfer window has been regarding the exits. But I don't think it's a club fault. I think it's the players, standing firm and doing what they want to do as well, which is very, very annoying from a club perspective. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments below. Give us your thoughts on all the other topics discussed in today's video. That's you all up to date with the latest news and transfer updates. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. See you in the next one.